Hello, this is World University and Schools Live Hangout on Air on Monday, July 15th, 2019. And today I would love to update and talk about further affiliations with Stanford University as ideas, as well as questions about how World University and School might begin to get students from other countries to apply and matriculate online. So in terms of news and updates, this upcoming Saturday, July 20th at 9 a.m. Pacific time, California time, there's an open monthly business meeting for World University and School, which is an hour long. And if you email info@worlduniversityandschool.org, you're welcome to participate. And I would hold it in a group video hangout, such as this one. So info@World University and School, monthly business meetings meet on the third Saturdays of every month, 9 a.m. Pacific time. They're open, they're an hour long, and we follow an agenda which is posted at worlduniversityandschool.blogspot.com. And the more people who join us, the better off we are with idea sharing and furthering the business of World University and School. Hello, Fritz. Nice to see you here in this hangout. Thank you for joining. So in terms of news and updates and topics for today's hangout, 5 potential affiliations with Stanford I'd like to explore further. One with Stanford Medicine in 200 countries and their languages, main languages, one with Stanford Law, and also in 200 countries with their official main languages. Thirdly, with regard to State of California Bureau of Private Post-Secondary Education licensing, as well as potentially accreditation with WUaS Senior, Western Association of Schools and Colleges. Fourthly, with the Handshake platform for interns and externs for hiring students, potentially from highest achieving universities, to help develop as interns and externs World University and School, potentially with Stanford. And fifthly, exploring through Wikidata Affinity Group and libraries, developing online libraries, potentially in all 200 countries, official languages based in Wikidata, and potentially also in 7,111 living languages. So Wikipedia, Wikidata are in 300 languages, and that leaves about 6,900 known living languages to go. And World University and School would like to develop in those regards. So idea-wise, conceptually, those 5 affiliations are what World University and School would like to further in a variety of ways. And we're exploring ways to increase collaboration. So glad to invite John Hennessy, the president of Stanford for 16 years and now the chair of Alphabet, Google's parent company, to monthly business meeting this upcoming Saturday, July 20th. Not sure if he'll come or not, but please do come if you're interested, and perhaps he will be there as well. Also, in terms of the second sort of topic, Fritz, you might have some good ideas for this, and I'd be interested in coming into conversation with you since you're from Germany. How to attract students from other countries is a very interesting question at World University and School, since we'll be online and we're offering MIT OpenCourseWare centric degrees based on the Creative Commons 4 licensing of MIT OpenCourseWare. And in English, there are approximately 2,500 courses at MIT OpenCourseWare, undergraduate and graduate, but not law and medicine, since MIT doesn't have a law school or medical school. And to offer online degrees, first accrediting in the probably WUaS Senior, as Stanford does, and also as UC Berkeley does, and I think most of the other University of Californias, and 150 or so other universities and colleges on the West Coast and some internationally. We would like to appeal to international students from studying from their homes in their countries, first in English, in the same way that coming to Stanford or coming to MIT appeals to international students who also have to learn English to do so, and offer these degrees accrediting with WUaS Senior in a way that would appeal to international students, potentially career-wise, potentially knowledge-wise. So again, paralleling Stanford and MIT, students come from many different countries and get a degree at Stanford or MIT. And I've seen one estimate of about 50% of such students actually stay in the US, but 50% roughly return to their countries and would get careers, would develop careers based on their Stanford or MIT degree. And these Stanford and MIT degrees are licensed and accredited in potentially their states, California and Massachusetts, and in their regions. WUaS Senior for Stanford, probably something similar for MIT. And their degrees, the degrees the students get who go to Stanford and MIT and return to their countries with, are thereby tickets to careers, in a sense, in their own countries. And how best to develop that online for international students at World University and School is a question. So one question, Fritz, I'd love to explore further with you, since you're from Germany, is how World University and School might attract, for example, 500 students, Abitur students who had just finished gymnasium, who had passed the Abitur exam in Germany. Gymnasium is one part of high school education in Germany, which typically I think leads to university entrance. And in seeking 500 Abitur graduates of high school, gymnasium in Germany, World University and School would like to explore a very different and new pattern in education, and potentially similarly with students in many different countries. MIT OpenCourseWare is in 5 languages. Besides English, it's in Korean and Chinese and Spanish and Turkish. Potentially, so it's in those languages, but potentially students who might have looked at those MIT OpenCourseWare courses in those languages could also speak English and could have interest in online degrees from World University and School that were around MIT OpenCourseWare. So reaching out to those countries and those languages, probably first in those languages, maybe in English too, would be part of this process. But we would like the education department, for example, in those countries and potentially in all 16 of the German states, and the education department for Germany as a whole, to engage World University and School and potentially help to bring interested students to this creative form of online education around MIT OpenCourseWare to World University and School. So one question, Fritz, is how best to reach out to the country of Germany's education department, its education minister, besides perhaps in this video, and also to all 16 states within Germany's education department, education minister, to thereby, as our platform develops, explore getting students. These degrees first would be in English. So these German Abitur, recent graduates of gymnasium, high school, would be speaking English in order to take a 4-year free to students bachelor's degree from World University and School. Great. Fritz posts in the group text chat. Topic: how to attract students of foreign countries. What kind of appeal could succeed in the digital era? How to get the personal investment accredited. Offering tickets to personal careers. Exploring a new pattern in education for German Abitur students, for example. So how best to reach out to German schools and education ministers. Yeah, those are the questions elaborated upon. And to respond to what kind of appeal could succeed in the digital era, I want to offer one example that World University and School is seeking to develop, and that would be a kind of robotics engineering degree that, so it would be an engineering degree, much like an undergraduate engineering degree at MIT or Stanford is like, but we would like to develop home robotics, and that could appeal to students a lot as well. So building out of Lego Robotics WeDo 2.0 and Mindstorm's EV3, with potentially a one-to-one direct correspondence with a virtual world for Lego Robotics. So thinking Brick Street View in Google Street View some years ahead, when Google Street View is an entire realistic virtual Earth with avatar bots. And so in Brick Street View, in Google Street View, students from different countries could develop robotics with programming, such as the Scratch drag and drop programming language, which works with Lego Robotics, in this virtual world, and then physically also building out of the Lego Robotics WeDo 2.0 and the Mindstorm's EV3, which are for kids at this point, but I suspect that Lego Robotics will get, that students will be able to become very inventive with engineering robotics from their homes with something that emerges from Lego Robotics, such as these. So that's one potential appeal. New approaches to engineering and robotics. and a hypothetical Google Street View as a developed realistic virtual Earth as another example of what could appeal and succeed in the digital era, could also, at the cellular and atomic levels too, become a kind of gaming environment. And I think there's a lot of appeal among students for digital gaming. And so to the degree that students could develop games in something like Google Street View toward a degree is another real appeal, I think, potentially, that could succeed with international students in the digital age. So those are two ways to your first question. Your third question or so is how to get the personal investment accredited. Yeah, I mean, if World University and School were accredited with WUaS Senior, just like Stanford is, and a German student were to have gotten a degree from Stanford or from World University and School and returned to their countries, I think my response to your question, Fritz, is often students or folks who have a degree can need to go through a licensing process in their country. Say a German student comes to Stanford and gets a chemical engineering degree at the undergraduate level, gets a bachelor's degree, returns to Germany, and wants to work as a chemical engineer in Germany. She or he would get his or her personal investment accredited by a personal investment in getting that degree from Stanford or from World University and School by passing a German licensing process in Germany in German, having studied in English, and thereby get their personal investment accredited. That's one example as a possible response to your question. I'm not sure exactly what your question is focused on in these regards. Yeah, personalized learning is potential with has great potential with MIT OpenCourseWare's 2,500 courses in pretty interesting ways, because of the Creative Commons 4 licensing, which allows three things: share, adapt, but non-commercially. World University and School can potentially add every single URL from MIT OpenCourseWare, every single web page, and then students could theoretically assemble these URLs from within a course or within a department to develop their own tickets to personal careers, personalized learning, in a sense. It's not necessarily the personalized learning of possibly a Hampshire college in the mid or late 70s, where I think there was an experiment with learning where students would do what they want. Ken Burns went to Hampshire, I think, in the mid 70s, the great film director and film producer, as an example. I think that approach to learning may also be possible at World University and School, somehow building out of a Hampshire college personalized learning thinking process from the 70s in the 2020s, drawing on MIT OpenCourseWare, but on Stanford also, and in many other ways. So Fritz adds in the text comment, well, English shouldn't present any barrier. Indeed, complementary course programs like Lego Robotics could be shared across distant locations. Yes, I think students potentially will get Lego robotics kits in the mail in their homes as they're studying for 4 years, and way beyond the Lego robotics of WeDo 2.0 and Mindstorm's EV3 and Spike, the new team software that's due out August 1st from Lego, which is only apparently going to be accessible in schools. Individuals won't be able to get it at this point. But yes, I think students will be able to do home robotics with ever more sophistication with Lego robotics. Lego has explored at MIT, I think, or MIT has explored with Lego, at least conceptualizing Lego, I think, at the cellular level and for atomic processes, or possibly. So I think that's in the woodwork. That might work better on the digital virtual side rather than the physical actual side. But yeah. And Fritz goes on to say, students will find their best possible peers across the platform. That's a wonderful opportunity. I think Google Hangouts is being phased out in 2 weeks. Google Group Video Hangouts will end August 1st, 2019. But I think there are numerous other video conferencing platforms, and Google has, I think, something called Google Meet coming along in 2020, which is also group video conferencing. So that's a very different kind of sharing between students, between cohorts, of students, between peers than in the classroom or in a physical high school or on a physical campus at the university or college level. But students will find their best possible peers across platforms in very new ways. The exciting thing, I think, about online video conferencing education, which includes teachers, instructors, professors in the educational paradigm, a lot of platforms are not including professors, not factoring in having teachers per se live and interactive at this point that I've observed, is that potentially students could also have access to fascinating and innovative and different faculty, also very high achieving, smart faculty that wouldn't be in their physical campuses, wherever they might have gone on the ground. So students, possible peers, cohorts of students will be able to associate with each other and also with a whole different range of faculty. Take, for example, all the MIT OpenCourseWare faculty in video as one example. So Fritz writes further, virtual gaming, development of virtual gaming is definitely exciting. It's a very exciting potential. And Fritz writes further, a particular challenge in personalized learning, how to find teachers who can reveal and promote the students' talents more easily than current educational institutions without having teachers getting overwhelmed with the extra effort and time put in. Great questions. I think there are parallels with physical college campuses. And there may be more choice, more potential opportunity for students to choose from a wider variety of faculty. I mean, World University and School seeks to develop universities in 200 countries' official languages. So in their official languages, these faculty, in these countries' official languages, these faculty members will be teaching, but potentially with translation software, there will be a whole pool of faculty members that will be potentially available to students, and having that large number of professors and faculty members could help with preventing teachers from getting overwhelmed with the extra effort. So partly it's a scheduling and the size of the pool of excellent professors. I think in countries like Germany and the USA, in high schools on the ground in gymnasiums, and also in universities, teachers may well get overwhelmed. Teacher burnout is a big issue in this country. So this might become newly possible in very different ways, online in group video conferencing, and then eventually from group video conferencing, so 10-person Google group videos, into a realistic virtual Earth. So think Google Street View with time slider, but Google Maps, Google Earth. So this hypothetical Google realistic virtual Earth would become potentially STEM field sites, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics field sites, but also classrooms. So this wide pool of faculty with students and peer cohorts of students could all be meeting in a realistic virtual Earth and not be overwhelmed because there'd be enough faculty to choose from. Faculty may well become avatar bots as well, which would help with the alleviation from becoming overwhelmed. Fritz writes further, how about exploring student-to-student tutoring, such as graduate to undergraduate student relationships? Yes, very much that's in the plans. Our initial sort of paradigm is, and for which we had applied for and budgeted for in a National Science Foundation grant of $250,000 last year in 2018, and which we didn't get, we found out this spring of 2019, was to hire graduate student instructors to teach sections. I don't know if that has a corresponding word in Germany. To teach sections, so these graduate student instructors, say Stanford and MIT graduate students, would teach up to 10 students in Google Group Video Hangouts, where the faculty hypothetically would be in MIT OpenCourseWare video. So it would be MIT professors in video. And that is a form of student-to-student tutoring, when graduate student instructors who are learning to become faculty and getting experience teaching with the resources of an MIT course with an MIT professor in video would allow for remarkable tutoring and peering in interesting ways. I'm appreciative too of the Cambridge-Oxford model of tutoring, where I think built into the British university system at Oxbridge and probably other universities is a tutoring process between professor and student. And that has much merit with regard to your good question as well, Fritz. So those are some thoughts in the aggregate of how World University and School is seeking to collaborate with Stanford further, Stanford Medicine, Stanford Law, California Bureau of Private Post-Secondary Education, BPPE licensing, and WUaS Senior, Western Association of Schools and Colleges accreditation, the handshake platform for hiring interns, externs, and potentially with Stanford, and also developing libraries in Wikidata, out of the Wikidata affinity group, which is chaired by a Stanford librarian. So, and on the other hand, the finding students from other countries to matriculate at World University and School may be something we explore first with German Abitur students, potentially 500, who would study in English for 4 years for a free-to-students bachelor's degree, MIT OpenCourseWare centric curriculum in innovative and creative ways online. Fritz writes further, excellent opportunities indeed, which may enable a breakup of traditional knowledge skill barriers, potentially, or a further university, which will contribute to the conversation and potentially break up traditional knowledge skill barriers in World University and School's own way. I think Stanford does it its own way already. For example, MIT with the MIT Media Lab as an interdisciplinary laboratory also does it in its own way by way of comparison. A good start could be, for example, trying to build on confidence and trust upon talent recognition. I think who we hire first as graduate student instructors to teach sections could be one instance of that. So if we are able to hire Stanford graduate students to teach to MIT OpenCourseWare faculty in video and to the MIT OpenCourseWare courses conceptually, we would build both on, for example, Stanford graduate students as being recognized talent. And we'd also build potentially on Stanford itself as recognizing talent. And we build on MIT as well with MIT OpenCourseWare pooling talent for sharing through its 5 languages of MIT OpenCourseWare and its 2,500 courses in English, which are Creative Commons 4 licensed for sharing, for adapting, but non-commercially. So I think I'm going to bring this hangout to a close. Great. Fritz asks further, how therefore transpose the MIT Media Lab or Stanford model into the world of German Abitur student environment? Yeah, great questions. World University and School wants to offer these university degrees, bachelor, PhD, law, and medicine in each of all 200 countries' official languages. But World University and School also wants to offer online high school degrees. And we've been talking about International Baccalaureate high school degrees as a model, but also Stanford Online High School potentially as a model, and also possibly the Abitur student environment as a model of attracting high-achieving German students. So there are a lot of examples since the 60s and 70s of university high schools which have been experimental and innovative and successful. And the homeschooling movement has also had some innovations in these regards. But how we do the high school degree, first in English and then in the other 200 countries' languages, is a big question. one way to transpose the MIT Media Lab or Stanford model into the world of German Abitur student environment could be to hire Stanford and MIT Media Lab graduates or thinkers about education to help develop and a kind of MIT Media Lab approach to World University and School's online high school degrees. And World University and School is a kind of sixth collaboration with Stanford, is engaged with the Stanford School of Education in these regards somewhat. Perhaps, and also following a little bit the thinking of some of the professors at the Harvard Graduate School of Education. So bringing an MIT Media Lab or Stanford model into the world of German Abitur student environment online would also involve World University and School becoming accredited in Germany to offer the online German Abitur in German. And that would involve reaching out to either various of the 16 states or to the German Education Ministry at the federal level, and exploring how this might be done. One Stanford Law faculty member, Barbara Van Shavik, who's also by courtesy a professor of computer science at Stanford, comes to mind as having great potential insight into how a Stanford model might work in the world of German Abitur for students there. So that's an interesting avenue to explore. We'd love to create World University and School careers in developing an MIT Media Lab or Stanford model into the world of German Abitur student. So yes, we hope we can do it in innovative ways and in novel ways, and maybe in a variety of ways, as these degrees will develop with time too. So Fritz writes, that's a truly fascinating concept, bringing in Stanford or MIT graduate students who would love to explore these new opportunities. Yeah, it's a very great opportunity to potentially for World University and School to engage smart and creative graduate students in their individual disciplines. Quite an honor for World University and School to be able to do that, and potentially to offer them career stepping stones as well when this happens. We still need funding for this, but we'll aim in these directions. And then one further question is how best to organize these sort of departments for innovation. So if we had a World University and School high school or gymnasium department, say in English in America and in German in Germany, how would they talk to each other? How would their developing platforms look like? And what creative innovations could go back and forth between all 200 countries' languages at the high school level are interesting questions. World University and School would like to facilitate a degree of autonomy between each of the 200 countries' universities and high schools, but under one umbrella. and yet based also on the MIT OpenCourseWare or MIT Media Lab, perhaps, thinking, and also on a Stanford model. So how that autonomy opens ways for, say, the leads or the heads of these 200 high schools in their languages to innovate a kind of MIT Media Lab approach in their countries online at World University and School are fascinating questions too. So yes, great questions, Fritz. And thank you for the conversation. And it's an interesting text-voice conversation that we have developing here. So I think I'd like to now bring this to a close, and thank you for participating, Fritz. And I'm going to try to hold this next Monday, July 22nd, but I'm going to be traveling and not sure about the video access. So I'll post on Twitter whether it's happening, and I'll seek to email also those people on the World University and School Live Hangouts on Air on Mondays email group about this as well. To find out more about World University and School on YouTube, including this live Hangout on Air, which will be recorded to YouTube, go to youtube.com/WORLDUNIVANDSCH. Similarly, go to twitter.com/WORLDUNIVANDSCH. And for sharing your ideas or your questions, or if you're seeking to apply and matriculate, the email address is info@worlduniversityandschool.org. So thank you so much, Fritz, and look forward to be further in touch. See you later. This is Scott McLeod. This is July 15th, 2019, info@worlduniversityandschool.org. Thank you and bye for now.